Ha! Business. Vertical integration. KPI. Business. Synergy. Jargon, HTML, database, C# for loop. Business. KPI. Business. Jargon, CSS. Business, Excel spreadsheet. We need business. SQ. Business? Oh, business jargon. Have you ever been in a situation where you're struggling to communicate a concept to a business user? Or that you feel that there's just some kind of a communication gap? Well, this issue might be more common than you think. The truth is, we're all different and in different places in our lives. We also all focus on different things. You might be struggling to get your message across, but trust you me, it's very probable that they're also struggling to communicate with you. As developers, we've got great technical ability, but sometimes we need to communicate to our business counterparts who are not necessarily so technically inclined. This isn't a bad thing. Remember, we all have different specialities and we all have different things in which we are good. And because sometimes as developers, it's difficult to communicate with business users, here's 5 tips to help you communicate better. Tip number 1. Avoid jargon. So you've probably heard this one over and over before. You're very familiar with what the term jargon means. But for those who are not in the know, jargon can be any term that is not known by everyone in the room. Think of things like API, SQL query, or function. Although these terms seem so familiar to us, not everybody in the room may be acquainted to them. So how do I avoid jargon? Well, try to use broader language. Another option is also to not talk in specific terms, but rather talk in concepts. Avoid going into the specific nuances of your code. Also, don't dumb things down. Remember, business users are not dumb. They're just not familiar with the technical terms that we are familiar with. If they want to know more detail, they'll ask. Tip number 2. Be patient. Sometimes it's very possible that the person that we're speaking to won't understand what we're trying to say and the first time that we're saying it. As developers, we need to have patience and empathy. 2 terms that's really not great, so please don't click away from the video. As a tech person, we might need to repeat a concept multiple times in order for our non-technical counterparts to understand it. Take a breather and be patient. And remember, just because you understand it doesn't mean that it's common knowledge. Number 3, have a teaching mentality. Concepts that are common to us are not necessarily common to other people. As tech people, we need to educate and inform others. After all, the saying goes, knowledge is power. Hide it well. Always just keep in mind that there is a correct time and place to educate and inform others. I don't think the weekly upper management meeting is a great place to tell the CEO exactly what he doesn't understand. You might not benefit as much from that as you think. Number 4, stay humble. Sometimes it's easy to feel like you know so much more than the person that you're talking to. But remember, although you've got a ton of knowledge about the backend system, the business user has a lot of business information and business knowledge that you don't necessarily have. Never underestimate the importance of knowledge, and being humble will allow you to have an open mind so that you can learn something. And who knows, maybe the thing that you learned today will allow you to be a better developer tomorrow. It'll allow you to create much more robust and much more applicable code for the system. Number 5. Be prepared. All the points we already talked about can be quite hard when you're not prepared. When you know that you have a presentation or a talk or some feedback session coming up, be sure to prepare beforehand. And don't just wing it because you don't have time to prepare. Winging it can definitely be one of the number 1 reasons why there are so many miscommunications. Preparing will give you some time to come up with simpler terms or will allow you to just phrase what you want to say in the correct way. And preparing is not just limited to meetings or presentations. So before you hit send on that feedback or request or whatever email, maybe just give it a read through again and ensure that the information in it is correct, understandable, and digestible for whoever needs to read it. Try not to wing it, okay? When you wing it, you're much more likely to cause confusion, to miscommunicate a concept, and just to cause general frustration. And those were 5 quick tips to communicate much better with business. If you want to keep an eye on my channel and see what I do next, maybe think of hitting the subscribe button. Hope this helps. Cheers!